All right, guys, welcome back. We are on episodes 80 something, I think.
875.
Something like that.
Are you guys impressed?
Wow. Yes.
No, yeah, that's not actually
that's
true.
not true.
We're still under 100. But
Yeah.
but it's great. We've been consistent. This is the most consistent we've ever been for the podcast.
Consistency is important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a weekly
deal.
podcast.
Yeah.
You got to give the people what they want.
Weekly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So today we are here with Scratch Brewery, Marika and Aaron.
That's
correct?
Correct.
Did I say it right?
You got
Yes.
it. That was
Okay,
perfect.
Yes.
good.
Beautiful.
I was struggling with the name for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Perfect.
So when did this all start?
We opened March of 2013,
Okay.
and it was probably 2 years before that of just kind of figuring out what we were going to do, where we were going to do it. Getting our licensing took a very long time, especially back then. That was when there were only 2,000 breweries in the country. Now there's 10,000 breweries in the country.
Wow.
There's a lot more infrastructure now for getting breweries up and going. At that time, we waited 9 months for our license to come through.
Oh my gosh.
In the meantime, we had kind of settled on, we built on Aaron's family's land.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it took about that long to build out.
Yeah, there was lots of rocks, stacking lots of rocks.
Yes.
Lots of rock walls.
Good thing you were familiar with the terrain.
It took a couple years for my body to recover before we were able to open.
I for some reason, I think you're very rough on your body, right? Even he was on the spiel today. He's like, I'm going to attempt to crack these nuts that it took me days to pick up. And
Yeah.
so, but I think that's what's so cool about your business, your concept, and it's very tied to nature. It's very tied to what's available on the land, and it's remarkable. I don't know if you two are surprised by it. I kind of am, or perhaps you always knew, Aaron, as a young guy, running around out there or whatever. You're like, I know what's out here.
No, I'm really surprised at just the response we've got over the years. I didn't. I went to school for photography, so I thought I'd be well known for photography, but
You do take nice pictures on the website, so good job.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in beer, Mark and I are, we don't talk about it too much, but we're fairly well respected in the industry, and it's nice to have the who's who drive out or stop by Ava, Illinois to
Let's
visit
talk
the
about
brewery.
that. And that's been a huge part of your success, and essentially, maybe not worldwide, nationwide, maybe worldwide. I don't know. But people want to come and visit, and they want to see what you're doing. And who were those people who needed to sign off on you? Who's the governing body, if you will, where you feel like, okay, I'm glad they got to see us. I'm glad they got to experience what we have.
Yeah, I mean, we even just last week, we're 10 years in, and still, it doesn't cease to amaze sometimes the people that come by who feel very strongly about what we're doing and have given us their stamp of approval, I guess.
Yeah.
But we had some folks come down from Chicago from a beer bar up there called the Hop Leaf that was an inspirational bar to us before we got going. It's been around for 30 years.
Wow.
Importing some of the best beer around the world, and they keep a tap on all the time for us
Pun
now.
intended or no? Okay. I like it. That was very good.
But he came down for the whole week, the two of them who own the bar, and want to feature us in some stuff that they've got going on. So it's every day, it's
So
amazing.
cool. Mm-hmm. So cool. And for the authors of, I love this. So it's an almanac for not farmers, but just beer makers, or
Right.
what's the almanac?
That's right. So it's set up kind of like an almanac where it's, over the course of a year, the plants that you could harvest to put into beer. So kind of utilizing our technique throughout the year with different plants for brewers. Yeah.
Look at you educating the folks out there. That's what this podcast is about, is
Absolutely.
sort of teaching people, not to be afraid to take some of those chances. And when they say Ava, Illinois, you have to know Ava. And when I think of Ava, there were the, I don't know, Mennonites or Amish community. There was a fabulous fish house at one time, and then you got Scratch, right? And that was it's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
So you're taking a gamble when you put a business smack dab in the middle of a place that you really need a special kind of map to get to.
Right. I think that's a good point as far as, our startup goes, and, how did we come up with this idea and doing it where we did. We looked around at some other places that would have been made a little more sense.
Right.
The middle of town somewhere.
Sure. You get the drive-by traffic, but that's not what you wanted, maybe.
Yeah. A couple places we liked and they fell through for one reason or another. And in the meantime, we were brewing on that land. There was nothing there. But Aaron and I and our third partner, Ryan, we were out there making beers with the ingredients on that land, and it just started to make sense. Yeah. I think one thing, Aaron and I are both pretty creative people and have an artistic bent. And, we also are harsh critics and critique each other pretty harshly. And so, if something doesn't taste right, one of us will say, this isn't good. Let's dump it. Let's get rid of it. By the same token, if something's good, I think we both have the confidence to know, what, this is good. This is worthwhile. This is worthy of somebody else drinking and tasting it. So, for two people who basically came to beer from very different backgrounds, I think we did kind of trust our gut on it and then just leapt into it and saw what happened.
Wow. Do you concur?
I do concur. Where the brewery is, it wasn't maybe our first choice initially.
But it's perfect.
we knew we were going to be waiting a long time for our licensing. So while we waited for the license, it made it really kind of cost prohibitive to be in a location where we would have to pay rent for 2 years before we could even sell a product we made.
Sure.
Wow.
So in that time, we were able to build a building, not a glamorous building, but one that we owned.
It's pretty cool.
And
let me guess, you guys built it like your own hands.
We did from scratch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we built it.
Wow.
And that's been really, I think, key to a lot of our success, is we have been able to do a whole lot of stuff where we're located, and we've been able to stretch our resources further. And, that's helped out a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. So I was poking fun or whatever. Like, many times businesses feel like, okay, for validation, I've got to be on a list. I've got to be featured in a magazine. People have to say the best of the best. I don't want to mention one over another, but you are on a lot of lists, and lists of really good breweries and people who are making beer. What are some of those that you're mentioned in, and what are some of those that are truly a feather in your cap that you're like, okay, I know we're doing well. Obviously, we just want to get better every single day, but we're doing well. Mm-hmm. What was that for you?
I think for me, the couple of James Beard Award nominations were really meaningful. Mm-hmm. I think, unfortunately, the James Beard Awards, they don't do a very good job of doing the beverage side of things. They're really like a more of a chef competition.
Right.
And we've kind of snuck in, this last year was for bars, and there were a lot of great bars on the list, people that don't make beer, but, sell beer, make cocktails or wine or whatever.
Right.
But, still being recognized among the greatest chefs in the country is pretty spectacular.
Huge. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah. What about for you, Aaron?
A few years ago, Marika spoke at the Smithsonian Institute, so we were invited out there, and she got to speak about our beer and our process out there, which was pretty neat, because
that's kind of cool.
That kind of will be around a lot longer than we are.
Oh yeah,
which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of like leaving a legacy in a sense of in the community of beer, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally.
We were lucky too. Early on, there was a very famous beer writer who lived in St. Louis right when we opened, and he became aware of what we were doing and made a point of coming out, and would come out every few months to visit. And within the first maybe 6 months that we were open, he wrote a big feature in a beer magazine featuring Aaron's photographs, actually. And that had a huge impact on traffic to the brewery and just people's interest in general. And he kept up that relationship with us even after he left. And he wrote a book called Brewing Local and featured us heavily in one chapter.
Nice.
So yeah, stuff like that where we just, we kind of got lucky that we were in the right place at the right time. But then people also understood the quality and the concept.
Sure.
Yeah, we another thing which I thought was really cool is we got invited to the worldwide slow food event, which is in Turin, Italy.
Wow.
we
That's
spoke. We spoke about our beer and our process in like a tasting class. So
cool. You're now the experts.
I don't know about that, but for using plants that grow in Southern Illinois, perhaps in beer, I would say we are. But
I love that.
But as Mark has said earlier, just keeping the product as good as we possibly can. That's our goal. And if anything isn't quite up to our standards, it's very important for a small brewery or a small business in general. Bad word of mouth is the worst thing that you can happen.
So, no doubt.
So a lot of these businesses, or just over the 10 years, word of mouth has been pretty incredible. I mean, that's what's driven all the traffic at the brewery, whether it be like a written word in somebody's book or just somebody's experience.
Yeah, it's kind of been a wave over the country, the world, wherever. In Southern Illinois, we've had the wine trail, and we've been known for the wine trail. And I remember, I don't know what year it was, but the breweries popping up, and like you said, you guys were, you were one of the firsts. But it so quickly became an experience, just like with wine tasting. It was, it was not a bar experience. It was truly going in, learning about what you're doing there, fascinated by the process, wanting to try it, pairing it with food, liking it. Now all of a sudden you have a new place that you like to go or take your honey, And that's really kind of what we've seen happen. More and more people are trying it. Some people will fail, in particular those people who don't know how to take the criticism. But it is important, I think, as a business owner, and maybe you guys can shed some light on this. It's a lot of hard work. And how those types of businesses, any type of business, if you don't pour your heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into it, probably going to fail, And I think people need to realize that it's not as glamorous as opening it up. The bar's open. We've made some fabulous beer going out. There's so much more that people need to realize.
There's a joke among brewers that 90% of the work of being a brewer is being a janitor, because you're just clean. You clean, and everything has to be clean. Otherwise, you won't end up with a good product at the end of the day.
That's right.
But I think for us too, quality has always been the number one thing, and sticking to our kind of just our mission and our goals with the brewery. We never felt opening up like we had to dumb down our product or make something that we thought people were going to drink, just made that up out of our heads. We just made what we wanted, made it the best it could be, and people found it. People walk in and they don't think they're going to like anything on the menu, but we find something that they end up liking.
That's special.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And so we've never felt like we've had to change anything about our business to suit anybody. People come in and they find something because they understand something essential about the beer. Even if they couldn't articulate it, they connect with something. They appreciate being there. They understand the quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's your guys' attention to quality in the unseen.
Yeah,
is what people actually feel when they walk in and actually taste your beer. It's not like it's a factory beer, you know what I mean? And people know that as soon as they walk in. And you see, for me, it was as soon as I tasted it, I was like, oh gosh, yeah, because I'm not the biggest beer fan, but that I could drink. And every day, no problem.
A lot of people have come in, you say that, oh, I don't like beer. Okay, well, what do you like? And what's great is you guys don't take offense that someone says, I don't like beer. Well, okay, what do you like? And let me give you this that might be comparable. And you're not insulted. Let's sample. Yeah. Let's see, you know?
Yeah, let's find what you do like.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. Everybody's different, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of people come in and they've only had beer off the shelf that their dad drank for 20 years. They haven't had something like you guys are creating.
Right.
And I think a big deal of what you guys do is inform.
Right.
People don't even understand what all goes into the whole process and how you can make it so different and so much better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you drink what you like, and
totally.
then there's other things to drink too. And so, yeah,
Right.
we never ever look down our nose at anybody who walks in the door, because there's always something we can find in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you've met a need. You have to keep them coming back and wanting more. And if they leave, you want them to take something with them. We talked about the bottling process, and you shared that you have these, certain bottles, and you're like, well, that's a shelf life of. Talk about that and how you guys have met that need.
So in beer, in order to like make it last a long time, you in the process you do have to add hops to some of the beers, and but you just need enough to prevent the beer from souring of certain kinds of beers. And basically, if you add too many hops, there's going to be some really delicate flavors that are going to disappear over time. But our beers, we condition them naturally, so we prime each one in the bottle. It generates its own CO2, and we're showcasing whatever ingredient is in there. But it by doing it that way, the yeast consumes the extra oxygen in the bottle. So there's very little oxygen in the beer, and it'll last for a really long time. And the sour beers will last for a long time based on their acidity level, and they're essentially like a preserved product in the bottle.
Wow.
Yeah, so we end up bottling things that we think will last a little bit longer, that we want people to be able to take home and savor over time. We also have stuff like that that's on draft, but the draft beers are something that you can consume a little more quickly. We can fill growlers from the taps at the brewery. We could take it home and drink it in the next week or so, and then leave with a bottle too if you want to save it for a special occasion, which is kind of how we feel about our beer. We package it in the larger format bottles. It's something to share, at a birthday party or family celebration at a dinner or something like that. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, what's next? What's on tap next for you guys? Did you find something that you're wanting to try now, or?
Let's see. We brewed a lot of Saison beers this summer. So Saison is a Belgian style farmhouse beer. It's pretty light. It's a little bit like the sassafras beer that we sampled earlier. Okay. Less tart than that, but just a really easy drinking beer that was actually made for the farmers once upon a time in Belgium. That's a style that's always been inspiring to us. We like the flavor profile, and our yeast does really well. We didn't mention this when we were doing the show, but we actually ferment a lot of our beer with the sourdough bread culture. It's the same culture that we put into our bread and our pizza. We use it to ferment the beer too. And it's as much a part of our brewery as any of us that works there. It's 10 years old. It's as old as the brewery, and we've learned how to use it over the years and the flavors that it makes, and it makes especially good Saison style beers. So we tried probably 4 or 5 new Saisons that we'd never brewed before this year, and we're really happy with those. So those are coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, lots of stuff with grapevines. So
Cool.
yeah, like trimmings of grapevines, all the leaves, and then
roasting
the actual vine itself.
Look at that.
Those beers are really nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you let people watch the process, or does that get too messy? You're like, no, turn away, look away.
I think I'd say about 90% of the time it's like watching paint dry.
Okay.
It's not the most stimulating thing you could watch.
Right.
There's a lot of starting and stopping and sitting around,
waiting, and cleaning.
Watching people clean, which
90%.
Some people would get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on and talking about your business, the Scratch Brewing Company. It's been around for a while, and I'm sure there have been, like every other small business, there have been nights that you're sitting there like, oh gosh, what do we do? What do we do? But if you stick to it and you believe in what you're doing, and you know that you've got the right recipe, if you will, I mean, success can be had.
Sure. Yeah.
What would you say to somebody out there who's thinking about it, whether it's beer or whatever?
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is to just stick with your passion. What makes you passionate about what you want to do,
right?
And stick with that, because if you do that, then the quality will always follow because you care about it. Once you start doing something you don't care about, then other stuff falls off because why bother? I mean, you don't want to do it.
It's so true. Oh, so true with so many things. Yeah. So
I would say, make as good of a product as you can, because our region isn't that populated. You want your product to be able to live in any place. So you want it to be in any city at the fanciest place, or also in the middle of nowhere in the country.
Or the Smithsonian or wherever.
So it's no, that's huge to be able to have it anywhere.
It's very cool. Yep.
So
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's like the whole key to your business, but I mean to a lot of business just in general is if your quality is so good, like people will come to you.
You're appreciated at any level.
Yeah, because people, like you said, the word of mouth is key, because it's like people are giving their testimony to their friend of, hey, this place was awesome. We should go together. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's one other funny thing that happens at the brewery. We have, according to a lot of people, we have a lack of signage on the way out there.
Oh.
So if we did add a few more signs, then it would feel like the place was very easy to get to. But as a result, people leave and they tell their friends, "You won't believe what I found."
Exactly. I said that.
Yeah.
And then
first time I found it, I said that.
Everybody does the talking as a result of that. Whereas if you had another sign or two, it wouldn't feel like they've discovered this place.
That's right.
So it's
my gosh, I feel like that's
so
such
good.
a valuable business lesson. Don't make it too easy for your customers.
Right.
We've done a lot of things over the years that probably don't really make sense.
But it worked for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations and thanks again for your time. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
Scratch
thank you so much.
Brewing Company, and we featured them on the show today. The Spiel,
Yeah.
produced by Growing Media. That's on Fox and DBTV. So make sure you Google and find that and watch, because they had all their cool ingredients, or some of them, in studios.
And you get to watch Angie try beer.
It was so good. I definitely have a favorite though. Which one I like, because I'm more
walnut.
of
The
a
black
walnut. Forget it. Drop the mic. So good. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it.